Oh, yes. Monday afternoon, St. Patrick's Day edition, your New Jersey Devils heading to Columbus for a massive pre-playoff matchup. Devils have been pretty much playing playoff hockey for the past couple weeks, and tonight is a massive one, desperately needing 2 points in regulation against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And it's a big one, kids. It's a big one. First off, I got to get a little housekeeping off the top. Congratulations to Jesperbratt. Bratter has just been on an absolute tear. 3 consecutive games with 3 points, and he was named the NHL's second star of the week.
Jesperbratt, tit-a-tat, where my boy at?
Where my boy at? Jesperbratt has been just getting it done for so long. If you haven't seen it, check out on the channel the latest video released this morning. I do a little deep dive just to see how good has Jesperbratt been for the past 4 seasons, and the results might astonish you. I take a look at where he stacks up against past New Jersey Devils legends, as well as the rest of the NHL over the past 4 years, starting with the 21-22 season to current, and it's pretty staggering. So if you're sleeping on Jesperbratt, I'm here to tell you, guy's a beast, but check out that video. I will actually put the link in the description for you right now so you can check that out. But what an absolute season for Jesperbratt, and he's going to have to be carrying the weight for this Devils club down the stretch. I'm looking for him, timomeier, nicohischier, obviously. Hopefully we could get some depth scoring. I just put the link in the chat if you haven't seen that video. Shout out to all of those of you joining me, whether you're already home or maybe you're in your car on the way home from work. But we got a big one tonight, guys. A massive game indeed. Some lineup changes. Sprong is out. Eric Halla is back in. And what came as a surprise to some of you, but certainly did not really come as one to me, Jake Allen is back in the net, my friends. And listen, we're at a crucial time of the season right now. Jacob Markstrom has been a huge part of why we are where we are at the moment in a playoff spot with his stellar play, especially in December and January. I had him as the Devils MVP for sure. There was some other notable names as well, but he was my personal pick. But the reality is, since he went down with that injury and missed 5 weeks, Jacob Markstrom has not been the same goalie since he's returned, and he's been struggling. Let's be real. I don't know if the injury is still lingering, if it's just rust from not playing for 5 games. Goalies are creatures of rhythm for sure. It might take him some time to get back. I hope he does. There is no guarantee that he will. But I think in the meantime, while he's kind of working through it in practices and the couple starts that he had already, we need the points. And Jake Allen, I do believe, gives us the best chance to win this game tonight. I'm curious to see what you guys think. I think a lot of you were kind of surprised by the news, but I certainly was not. I do think there is a potential where Jake Allen steals the net down the stretch here. And I mean, listen, I'm a Markey guy. I love Markey. For those of you who have been watching me for a while, I wanted Jacob Markstrom going back to when the rumors first started last season. I was thrilled when we got him, and he delivered. He actually delivered more so than I even could have imagined to some extent. But the reality is that injury was bad. He's going through it right now, and hopefully he gets back to prime form. I do want to see him, be our entrenched starter for the playoffs. But, there's no guarantees at this point. If Jake Allen continues to dominate, which he has in several of his starts as of late, just dominant performances, you can't argue with the results. And unfortunately, this is a team sport, and you got to give the team the best chance to win. And so we'll keep an eye on that to see how the whole Jake Allen, Jacob Markstrom, I don't want to call it a saga, but storyline develops as the season goes on. And now we will see what you fine folks are talking about in the chat. For Devil, has heavier, edgier, more violent been abandoned? Can we maybe start doing that again, or at least try to establish a physical game preferably early? I am completely with you. They have had some decent hit totals in games as of late. They've also had some underwhelming hit totals as well. And when you watch the game, you don't get that same feeling. I totally agree, For Devil. In that December stretch, we were like taking it to teams. We were feisty. They were fighting a little bit. There was skirmishes. It was like, we're not taking your shit, New Jersey Devils. It hasn't felt like that in quite some time. I am hoping now with the intensity ratcheting up down the stretch here and into the playoffs that we see some of that vigor come back. But I have to agree with you. It has seemed like it's gone by the wayside a little bit, and I would love to see it make a return. And then Allen, again, more questionable lineup choices. I can't say that I think it's questionable. It's, Jake Allen's body of work speaks for itself, and his record would be much better had the team given him goal support in a lot of his starts. His record should be way better than it is. He should have more wins. The team's offense dried up on a lot of his starts, but he's given the Devils a chance to win almost every single game he's played outside of a couple stinkers, but few and far between. He's been pretty damn good all season long. Meadowlander says, why is Fitz discussing Hamilton's injury status on Canadian podcasts and there's no public update from the team? Well, as soon as he went down, I'm not going to lie, I was pretty much convinced that he was probably done for the season. And it seems like even in the playoffs, it's iffy. And so for all intents and purposes, I think the Devils are moving forward as if both him and Siegenthaler, honestly, are gone for the season and into the playoffs. And I think that's probably part of the reason Fitz felt so compelled to go get Dumoulin and Chomilowski. He was on record stating he wanted a veteran defenseman before Dougie went down. And so once that happened, I figured now with Siegenthaler and Dougie out, he's definitely going to get a defenseman. He ended up getting two. I do think eventually, or maybe even now, we see Nemitz kind of never look back and keep Chomilowski out of the lineup. But it's another thing to keep an eye on. The continued progress of Shimo Nemitz, obviously getting that massive game-winning goal against the Oilers the other night. And I think Nemitz might be here to stay now. He might finally stick. Jack says, let's go, must effing win. Big game, big game. Not a must win, but it's a you gotta win. It is definitely one of those you gotta wins. Devils currently 8 points ahead of the Jackets, and they have 2 games in hand. So this is a huge game, obviously. If we win, it really could potentially, I think it would put the dagger in the Jackets' chances of taking our third in the Metro spot. Now, they're very much alive in the wild card race, obviously. And the Rangers, in terms of the third place in the Metro, the Rangers are 6 points behind us with the same amount of games played. So a win tonight, our playoff odds would be pretty good. Really would like the odds. Ryan says, why is Allen starting tonight? I think it's just because Markey's been a little shaky. And while he's trying to get his footing back, it is pretty risky to put him out there, especially in a game of this magnitude with the Jackets right on our heels. I agree with the decision, and I'm a Markey guy, but the reality is he's been struggling. I'm thinking we will see him back in the net for the next one. So you're talking about, let me see how many days between starts that is, the way the schedule falls. So he played Saturday the 15th, and so it'd be 5 days, I guess, or 4 full days in between. If he gets back in there on Thursday night, the 20th, against the Flames, I think we'll see him there. And then depending on how that goes, the Devils may have a decision in terms of who do they start Saturday night against the Senators, who have been just on a tear. Wise discernment. Let's go. John Mick, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Let's go Devils. Brendan says Markey had a really bad game and needs the rest. Husky and Shane says that John will need the luck of the Irish tonight. Vala says because Allen is a better goalie. I don't know if he's a better goalie, but I certainly couldn't argue the fact that he's playing better right now. SST, big one tonight. Is that a picture of me? SST, I'm just going to permanently block you. I'm going to keep blocking you. If you why would you make your profile picture me? Is that funny? You have 5 minutes to change it or you'll be blocked again, and I'll just continue blocking you and ignore you for forever. John Mick, for sure, but we're drinking ahead of time. Very nice. Jay Snow says, I like Allen and net tonight. I do too. I think, given what we've seen recently, I think it was a fairly easy decision for the coaching staff, honestly. Dennis, what's up, Ace? What's going on, Dennis? Jay Snow says Markey's still working his way back. Brennan plays Jesperbratt is the best player in the NHL. I don't know if he's the best player, but he's certainly among the best. Again, if you haven't seen the video, just came out this morning. Check it out. I go on a deep dive and look at where Jesperbratt stands over a 4-year stretch compared to all-time great New Jersey Devils, as well as the rest of the NHL. Dennis, do hope Markey doesn't keep his team from playoffs, definitely going through something. Well, I don't think the team's going to put him in that position. If he continues to struggle, it's going to be Jake Allen's net. And so I'm not too worried about that. Jay Snow says Nemitz in the lineup tonight. Yep, I don't think he's ever going to turn back. I think this might be the time where he finally kind of grips onto his spot and never relinquishes it. And obviously that was helped by, injuries to Siegenthaler and Dougie. But, that's kind of how he got forced out to begin with almost. Everyone was injured, and then guys came in. They kind of took his spot, forced him out. Mike, what up, Ace? What's going on, Mike? Brennan plays Jet Greaves as an AHL goalie, and he is starting. I hope not. If we make another guy look like the second coming of the great Martin Brodeur, I'm going to definitely be upset. Jay Snow, hopefully just taking some time to get back into form. Yeah, but it's been a little while now. I am starting to get slightly nervous. I'm not going to lie. My case is Allen, baby. Let's go. Jay Snow, are we getting goalie tonight? I certainly hope not. Mark, had some struggles at the beginning of the year, then really turned it on. Yeah, but it's a little different. This is coming off an injury and missing 5 weeks, and he isn't young. I do hope he gets back to that form, because in December and January, Jacob Markstrom was in the Vezina conversation, and he was looking like an absolute monster. Even the biggest detractors of the Devils and Markey went real silent. They went real silent when Markey was dominating. Mike K says, I want to see Dawes. I think next year you're going to see Dawes. I think there's a good chance. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Allen comes back next year. I've talked about this in a previous live. Dawes might have to wait his time. The Devils like veterans, obviously veteran tandem this year with Markey and Allen. And you saw Markey got hurt. We had to lean on Allen when Markey was out. And now Markey's kind of struggling when he came back. And once again, turning to Allen, the veteran presence, lots of experience to lean on. I do think the Devils are kind of squeamish because of the horrific goaltending we've seen in the past, that they don't want to kind of get caught in a spot where if your starter goes down, that you're kind of screwed. Now, Dawes has played amazing this year in the small sample size. Don't get me wrong. And I do have full confidence. I do believe he could be the 1B guy right now, but we just don't know until he plays that load of games, and it could all fall apart. And so I think the Devils are being overly cautious in that scenario. And it might be, next year's the 25-26 season. So maybe it's the 26-27 season we see Dawes, but it very well could be next year as well. I'm very interested to see how the Devils handle Jake Allen heading into next year for sure. Isaiah, hey, Ace, cheers. What's going on, Isaiah? Jay Snow says Nemitz in the lineup worries me. I think he's going to be okay. I do think he's going to be a good defenseman. I've said this forever, but he was struggling. I think a lot of it was in his head, and he's going through some mental stuff. But I think as he continues to play, if he plays every game, I do think he'll get some of his confidence back, and he'll start to kind of look like the guy that we saw, or at least the good player we saw for good chunks of the season last year. Joseph Lanham, what's going on? Husky, I want the best man in net. Who cares what his name is? Completely agree. Keeping up with the Devils, Allen is the definition of solid. Yes, he is. Jack, they put Halla in. They won with him against Edmonton, and last game versus CBJ. He is more defensively responsible than Sprong. He's better on the wing, too, as opposed to center. Nemec has to be good. Agreed across the board. I like Halla, and it sucks that he went through that drought, blah, 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 but I would like to see them kind of keep him in. I don't know what the deal with Sprong is, and it seems like they kind of rotate some of the bottom 6 guys just to try to see if they could get different looks or kind of find different chemistry, but I like Halla, and, I'd love to see him put up some points tonight. It would be awesome. Max, is Big Mac just an ornament at this point? I fear from a couple of weeks ago, I said, I think that we may have seen the last of Curtis McDermott, and it's unfortunate. I do think he brings some jump to the team. I've talked about this in depth, many, many times in lives and in videos. I like what Curtis McDermott brings for sure. And it just seems like Keefe is not a fan of the fisticuffs or the extra rough stuff, and he prefers what I guess he would classify as more skilled players. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that Curtis McDermott is as skilled as some of the other guys in the bottom 6. But when the bottom 6 is struggling to produce any sort of offense, well, then what else can they bring? And some of them can't bring much. If it's not offense, you're not going to get much. Maybe some sound defensive play. But I do think Curtis McDermott brings a different swagger to this team, and I would love to see him play. But as we're getting tighter down the stretch here, I don't know that we will see him maybe until we clinch, unfortunately. And I think he's kind of gotten a raw deal, but I'm glad he got paid. Listen, he got paid a nice contract. And, for me personally, certain moments in Devils history kind of transcend the player or the specific season. And just like I will always consider Akira Schmid a Devils legend in my book, regardless of how his career played out here and how he left and all of that, the man came in and saved our ass, Akira Schmid. Won 2 games in the Garden. We were down 2-0, tied up the series, won Game 5 at home. We lost Game 6 at the Garden, but then comes back and pitches a shutout in Game 7. Akira Schmid will always be a Devils legend to me. Likewise, Curtis McDermott will always be a legend to me for that beautiful, beautiful 5-on-5 brawl at MSG. I mean, wow. What a night. A team that was just so physically and emotionally broken that season had their rallying moment, and it was at the Garden last April when Curtis McDermott and Rempe squared off, and then everyone else followed suit. What a night. Is Big Mac still alive? I'm pretty sure he is. He took warm-ups not that long ago. I forget what game. I went to a few games recently. He definitely skated for warm-ups in one of them. Jack, this offseason, it's time to start moving off some players who can't play all 82. I mean, listen. This is a warfare league, man. It's not that easy. Robert, feel like Palat is due for a goal. Great Bratt stat video earlier. Yeah, Palat, I'd like to see Palat start burying some pucks. That would be nice. Glad you liked the video. It's interesting. I can never really gauge what videos people will like, but I do think, I guess it just still doesn't stick in my head that the majority of the people watching my channel or the videos are newer fans, and it seems like a lot of them just don't care about the history, and that's fine. I don't necessarily care. I thought it was cool just to give Bratter his props and to kind of see where he stands historically in the Devils organization, as well as against the rest of the NHL in the same time frame. But I do find it odd that videos like that, like I thought it was one of my better videos, honestly. I thought, for me, I mean, as a Devils fan, like that's a video that I would personally like more so than maybe some of the other ones I do. But yeah, younger fans or newer fans don't seem to care about the history. It is what it is. Maria D, more questionable is Nemo in the lineup. Let's not get slaughtered tonight. Let's go Devils. Yeah, we're gonna see Shimon Nemec out there. Exciting stuff. Is he going to stick for good now? I think there's a good chance that he does. Max says you could also see Hamilton say my knee on the live broadcast. Yeah, what a painful moment. Jay Snow, I want to move off Dougie in the offseason. I think it's going to be hard to be trading a guy that makes that kind of money coming off a season-ending injury. Maybe maybe it's still possible. Maybe it's something they explore mid-season. I am a Dougie fan. I think he brings a lot. I do think he gets kind of a raw deal from the fan base overall a lot, but I get why. But in the end, he does contribute tons of offense. And, I think we're going to miss him when he's gone one way or another. But I understand everyone wanting, or the people anyway, not everyone, but the people talking about wanting to move on from him is because it will free up a spot on the blue line. And then more importantly, his $9 million towards the cap. But coming off an injury, I think it's going to be tough to kind of shop that. Jack, going with Allen tonight is not surprising at all. The net has essentially been split all year minus the month where Markstrom went nuclear. And right now, Allen is hot and Markey is not. Facts. Completely factual. Jack, the luxury of having 2 starting caliber goalies. Yes, it is. Jay Snow, Nemec is going to stay up. It's just a matter of if he plays every night. Well, yeah, he can't go back now, but I think he's going to play pretty much going forward, assuming he has no major setbacks. Dennis, Nemec needs to stay and know he's a part of the team moving forward. Kid has all the tools to be a top pairing D-man. I agree. These points are gigantic. Yes, they are. Keeping up the Devils. Jackets going to play hard, 3 straight losses, and their last 2 being shutouts. And they're mad that we beat them last time with the AHL goalie. I just hope the Devils come out flying, obviously, throw pucks at net, play physical, play like this is a Game 7 of the playoffs. That should really be the mantra for every single game going forward. Sunrise Arts Cinema, I just want to see a catch-fire type scenario. Getting into the playoffs is fine, but this inconsistent win-loss ratio does not bode well. I want to see fire and intensity. Completely agree. Come out with the hunger, play the body, throw pucks on net, crash the net, get screens in front, and just play a gritty game. Jack, yes, Jackets are going to play like their season's on the line tonight. Dev's got to be ready. They can't come out unprepared like they have so often. Have to score first and set the tone physically. Completely agree. Completely agree. Jason says, I can't believe we couldn't get the 4th in a row. You can't believe it. I mean, it's been 26 months. I thought that was going to be as good of a chance as any. I mean, playing playoff hockey, 3 wins. We've owned the Penguins as of late, but of course, not possible. Metalander, surprise Keith called an optional practice in Columbus yesterday after the debacle in Pittsburgh. I think I think he has a very good pulse on the team. And so I'm not going to question it. I know a lot of people are like, practice, practice, practice. But, like, I do think, especially at this juncture of the season, especially some of the guys that are playing big minutes and whatever, they will benefit more from the rest than the actual practice. Like, at this juncture, you got to stay sharp, but they do practice a good amount. They have morning skates. Like, you're not necessarily going to learn something completely new or master something in a mid-March practice. Like, if you're not there by now, then you're in trouble. So I do think Keefe is very cognizant of that and tries to give them days off. It may have been actually, I don't even know. That may have been a mandated day off, because there is in the CBA certain days are mandated off with the schedule. But if it wasn't and he just elected to give them off, I believe it's because, he thought it was in the best interest of the team and they would benefit more from the rest than the practice. Mike K, Carolina is white hot. They've won 7 straight. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I thought for a while we had a chance to catch them, but obviously now I'm just hoping to hang on to that 3rd spot. Alex, is that profile pic from when you were at the game behind the net? I think so. Mike K, I hope Rangers miss playoffs. Canadians been on a run. They might make it instead of the Rangers. I mean, listen, the Rangers very well could fall right out. Canadians are only 1 point behind the Rangers for that 2nd spot with 2 games in hand. And so, right now I would say, and the Jackets are 2 points behind with 2 games in hand. Yeah, their spot is nowhere near safe. Even the Islanders are a threat to their spot, really. Yeah, I would love to see the Rangers fall out too. Let's be real. David, great video on the Bratter. Thank you, sir. I'm glad you liked it. Markey was looking Vezina caliber. He was. If he didn't get hurt, he would have been nominated now. Hellebuck was going to win it for quite some time now. It was Hellebuck was definitely going to get it, but it would have been pretty sweet for Markey just to get the nomination. That would be a little feather in the cap. Jay Snow, the only reason I don't want Allen back is the money. Well, what would you say if he signed for super cheap? I could see him leaving just because of the money. Like, you don't get too many cracks to get a payday, and someone might pay him like 2 years, $7 million or something. I don't think the Devils should do that. I agree. If he's not going to give like a super team friendly deal, I would rather risk Dawes and behind Markstrom than pay him that kind of money. And I think with the season he's had, I do think teams will pay him maybe 2 years, $7 million. Isaiah, drop a like for Ace. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you. Alex, Allen is poised to get a decent contract this offseason. The goalie market is abysmal. Yeah, he might even get more than that. But I think $7-8 million for 2 years could definitely be something teams are willing to throw Allen. And I wouldn't want the Devils to pay it, honestly. I just think we have to be very, very selective, with the cap. And, depending on what Luke gets paid, we're going to have to save some money somewhere. Keeping up the Devils, maybe Markey gets hot headed into the playoffs. He is the key to a deep run. I thought so too, but listen, I'm not discrediting Allen. He could get hot and bring us on a deep run too. Any goalie that gets hot, I did think Markstrom obviously had the higher potential based on what we've seen and what he's done through his career. But if he doesn't get back to that level we saw, it might have to be Allen. Jason, what do you think they'll do with the Irishman Seamus? I want him to be part of this team going forward. Depending on what happens with some of the other defensemen, the Fitzy has his work cut out for him. Maybe Casey is in the AHL for another year. I know he obviously wants to be in the NHL, but maybe he stays in the A for one more year, at least part of next year, while Fitz tries to find a spot for him. But it is interesting because there's there's not a ton of spots open up on the blue line without trading a Siegenthaler and or Dougie Hamilton. Jeter, I could see this team making the playoffs with like 90, 92 points. They're talking about the Devils? I hope not. They better finish better than that. Cape Dweller, I'm surprised Markey came back because the way his knee got twisted against Boston looked ugly. He's a competitor. Maybe he rushed it. I'm sure the doctors, are keeping an eye on it, but he wants to play. He wants to win. And you got to respect a guy like that. Maybe to his detriment. Paulie, happy St. Patrick's Day to all. It's also my son's 19th birthday today and hoping the Devils win tonight. That'd be a nice birthday gift for him. Oh, wow. Yeah. Happy birthday to your son. And hopefully the Devils do deliver a gift for him tonight because we need these 2 points desperately. Alex, knowing Devils history gives perspective of the players today. I completely agree. That's why, I like talking about it. Not to mention that's, when we were good and winning cups and a proud franchise. But, I do think history is definitely, historical context is definitely important to kind of grasp where guys are or what they're kind of doing. And as explained in the Jesperbratt video that I released this morning, Bratter has been nothing short of spectacular. And again, if you're just joining us now, just talking about the greatness of Jesperbratt, check out the video I did on him. I went out this morning, and wow, complete beast. Cape Dweller, love the history. Let's talk Mel Bridgman. That's before my time, my friend. Mel Bridgman. I've seen some clips and heard a lot of stories. Rich Reynolds, the March of Meier must continue tonight, hoping Timo puts up some big points. Would love to see the March of Meier. We're going to need him and everybody else to pick it up, down the stretch. Would love to see it continue tonight. Hopefully we don't lay an egg. That Pittsburgh game obviously was kind of a stinker. And I do think, not to keep bringing it up, but had Allen played that game, I think we would have had a chance to win. The Devils didn't play great, but with a very good goaltending performance, we could have stole the game despite being outplayed. Aaron, need top line and bottom six scoring tonight. Need to score the first 2 goals, then play our shutdown defense. I like that plan, Aaron. Samuel, it's the 3 T's. Timo time tonight. I like that. Martin Keefe needs to open Nanor and let Seamus out. Jason, no, I'm not hating on Dougie, but our cap situation isn't great for next year. I agree. After Luke gets paid, it's going to be tight. Brandon, if Allen is hot right now, how do we get Markstrom's games to get hot again for the playoffs? Well, there's no guarantee Marky's going to be in the playoffs if we're being real. I think you're going to see Markstrom play against his former club, the Flames, Thursday night at the Rock. And then I think the team will take a wait-and-see approach from there. If Marky looks shaky again, then you clearly go back to Jake Allen for the Saturday night matchup at the Rock against my man Brady Tkachuk and the Senators. If Marky looks great, maybe they go back to him. We will see. Captain Mafungo, stress-free win tonight? Oh, man, those stress-free wins are so few and far between, but I'd absolutely love to see one. Stress-free wins are my favorite variety of wins, where you're like up 3-0 late in the game, and you're like, now we're just watching for style points and, other little things within the game. But unfortunately, I don't think a stress-free win is going to be in the cards tonight. I think this is going to be a pretty tight one. Jack, Trouba laid another nasty hit last night on Kyrou. Speaking of Kyrou, I wouldn't mind him in the Devil Red next year. He could keep up with Jack and Brad. He's a guy who can play all 82 as well. I love Kyrou, and I don't know how credible the rumors were, but when the rumors came out, and there was some rumblings I saw this season that Kyrou might be available, I was willing to give up a massive package to get him. But making a deal for Kyrou is not going to be cheap, and I don't know that the Devils have the pieces to really land him. I think he would get a first round pick, a roster player plus, unless we start floating our first round pick next year. I think the path to getting him is going to be pretty tough if he truly is available, because I think a lot of teams would love him. Samuel Nemitz was hardly top notch last game, but then again, who was? Yeah, pretty much a stinker across the board. Hard to put too much stock into it. Max, Mercer has been better, need more. Same for Palat, Tatar. Yeah, we need everybody to be better. Our inconsistent play is the reason why we're now in a dogfight when we were in a beautiful situation just, a little under 3 months ago. Jay Snow, true, Nemitz drove me nuts on that failed clear. Husky Unchained, why is Nemitz called Nemo? It means no name. I think it's just, a play on Nemitz. I don't think I think you're looking a little too deep into it. Jay Snow, 2 years, Ace, come on. We should have lucked into 4 in a row by now. I agree. I mean, you would think that it would happen. It's kind of crazy that it hasn't, especially because of the players we have. But now it's become a thing, right? It's like, how many times have we had 3 and then failed to get the 4th? I don't know what the hell it is, but like I've said from months ago when people brought this up, I'm perfectly content with winning 3 out of every 4 games. I don't give a shit if we never win 4 in a row. Just win 3 out of every 4. And that will bring us very far. Nicole, I think Markey being out of the lineup will be good. Athletes worry that an injury is going to change their play, and Markey not playing to his normal caliber will mess with his head if it continues. Hopefully he gets back in there soon and looks like the guy we saw before he got injured, because since he's returned, he has not been that guy. Nicole, also McDermott skated for warm-ups at the Jets game. I was excited he was going to play. Now, he often takes warm-ups and doesn't play, as well as maybe a couple other guys, depending on the game. But that is something that I think people don't realize, is that just because you see him in the warm-ups doesn't mean they're going to play. And McDermott's one of those guys that I've seen warm up before plenty of games that he didn't play in. And it's unfortunate. I'm sure, it kills him. to not be in some of these games for sure. Max, it's the video sessions that are important to top players late in the season more than reps. Antonio, Ace, if you were a betting man, do you think we have what it takes to keep this third place spot in the Metro? Yes. It would be a pretty big collapse if we didn't. I mean, and especially if we win tonight. A win tonight would really put us in a good spot to hang on to it. And they have to play like, everything's on the line. Obviously, they could lose tonight and still hang on to it, but they'd be making it unnecessarily tighter than it needs to be. A win tonight puts a nice, firm grip on that third spot. James, tonight is a huge game. We can pretty much put Columbus down for good. In terms of the Metro spot, for sure, I think they'll still be in the mix for a wild card, but I do think it would pretty much crush their chances. Then we would be, 10 points ahead, and they would have 2 games in hand. Yeah, it would be really hard for them to come back and steal the third spot in the Metro from us. Kill for my honor. Don't spill anything, Ace, on that jersey. White is dangerous. I know. This is like a house jersey. I only wear this in the house. I've been meaning to get this an old school Scotty. I have had the 95 cup patch forever. I just haven't had it sewn on yet. Long overdue. That'll probably be one of my many summer projects that I'll eventually get to get that thing put on. Brandon, it's a tough decision, but Allen is playing so damn good. His trade value would be so great. If Fitz knows 100% he's not resigning, we should dump him and bring Dawes in, but it's a tough call. Well, we'd only be able to trade his rights because obviously the trade deadline's passed, so you can't trade him. You could just trade the rights to sign him, and I'd imagine that might get you probably a 4th-round pick, something very minimal. Samuel, Marky has to make sure he isn't screwing up for next year. Legs are what goalies are all about. Yeah, I mean, hopefully he's fully healed, but like I said, I imagine the training staff and the doctors are very much on top of this and, checking in on this daily. But, who knows? I'm sure there could be some sort of lingering pain or something that they can't detect, and Marky would probably lie about it to play because he is such a competitor. But it is what it is. Hopefully the next start he gets, he looks like the Marky of old, the Marky of December and January. Jesse, anyone think Elias will be at the game tonight? Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to say no. I don't think so. Keeping up the Devils, I think if either the 2 goals, 24 seconds, or the Nate Bastian goal wasn't offsides, we win that game. Yeah, I do think it was lost in the first period. We could have, went into the locker room up 1-0, and instead, under the 3-minute marker, we give up 2 goals, bang, bang, and now we're down 2-1. I think it kind of stunned them a little bit. And that's another thing that I hate seeing. Late period goals against, I feel like, has been another thing that for the past couple seasons we've seen the Devils give up far too often. Is giving teams that life and momentum late in periods is really the worst. And that's why I love when the Devils get the goals late, because I know how much of a dagger it could be to the other team. Amagi, got my praxis exam tomorrow, so nervous about that and the Devils' performance tonight. Hope I can go to sleep with a smile on my face for tomorrow. Good luck on your exam, sir, and hopefully the Devils deliver for you and you go to bed a happy guy. Brandon, we did so little at the trade deadline. I keep forgetting we passed it. Oh, man. Hi, kudos. What happened to Nason being the net front presence guy? Start of the season, he was getting dirty goals. Haven't seen one in a while, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, listen, he started off super hot, was constantly getting power play one time, and it kind of seems like as the team's struggles picked up in January, his did as well. Hopefully he gets back to, getting in his office there down low in front, and he continues to be the junkyard dog. I do think he is going to find another gear when the playoffs come. I've said that from earlier in the season. I do think playoff version Stefan Nason is going to be extra junkyard dog-like, and I look forward to it. And I'm obviously hoping we get to the playoffs and get to see that. And I kind of feel the same way about Paul Cotter. Jack, I'm prepared to send a first, Nemitz, and Mercer to St. Louis for Kyrou. Some smaller pieces can be sent on both sides to even it out, but those being the principal pieces are okay with me. I'm curious if that would get it done. I think if you posed that last year, it may have. I'm curious to know if it would be now. And I like Nemitz and Mercer. I just think, when you could get a guy like Kyrou and really firm up your center depth, it could be worth exploring. But again, I have no idea what the ask on him would be, but I'd imagine it would take at least a package in that realm. Aaron, what do you think Luke's purse looks like next year? I'm thinking if it's an 8-year deal, Jack extends his contract. I'm hearing talk about getting Quinn in 27, but I don't know how realistic that is. I think I've said this from months ago. I think Luke signs for between $7 and $8 million. I'm thinking somewhere in that range. Hopefully not more than 8, but I think 7 to 8 is going to be where he lands at. Jay Snow, if they broke up this core, Bratter would be the guy to get us the best return because Jack's never getting moved. I agree. I hope they don't give up on the core just yet. It's unfortunate that last season played out the way it did now this year with Jack's injury. We need to see at least one more playoff push with the core intact. Brandon, to be fair, Markstrom comes back from injury straight until we need to win games. Plus, he's very rusty. He probably doesn't feel confident at all right now. That could all be part of it, but the reality is we got to win these games. And so, I'm sure he totally gets it, and I'm sure he's fighting in practice and every chance he gets. And obviously he's going to get a start at some point. I'm thinking it will be against his former team, the Flames, Thursday night at the Rock, and he's going to have to really show out in that game. Show us that he's put the kind of recovery games behind him. Jay Snow, they were awful against Pitt. You could tell early the Devils were so sloppy in the D zone. Nemitz really got me mad failing clears. It was a sloppy game overall. And again, I hate to say it. I had high hopes for the game, but the fact that it was the elusive potential 4-game winning streak, I did not feel great about it for that reason. Just because, for whatever reason, the Devils just can't get that 4th win. Can't get the 4th win in so many chances. And so many times, I remember thinking to myself, this has got to be the time. This is the time they finally get it. And every time, it's not the time. And they lose. And then they got to start over. Would love to finally see them get it. Let's take a look here. Can we win tonight? Thursday at the Rock against the Flames, Saturday against the Sens, and then Monday against the Canucks. That'd be a nice little 4-gamer. Then we have Blackhawks on the road, Jets on the road, Wild on the road. And then back home for the Wild at the end of the month. Yeah, Sens aren't going to be easy. Sens are playing good hockey right now. Obviously, the Jets are never easy. The Wild are a very good team. And then the April schedule is kind of like East Coast slop fest. Rangers on the 5th, Bruins on the 8th, Pens on the 11th, Islanders on the 11th, Bruins on the 15th, Wings on the 16th. The Wings are 70 points as well. 1 game in hand. Yeah, right now, the Canadians look to be in the best shape with 2 games in hand on the Rangers and only 1 point back. That'd be some story if the Rangers if the Canadians get in, but I would even say the Islanders are alive. My God. It ain't over for the Islanders yet either. Let me see. What do we got on the out-of-town scoreboard tonight? Sabres, Bruins, Flyers, Lightning, Devils, Jackets, Flames, Leafs, Kings, Wild. A lot of teams still in the mix. Max, pretty much every Eastern Conference game is huge for our positioning, for sure. But more so, this one is probably, there might not be a single game bigger than this one, just because, unless it comes to a situation where it's like win and in or something. But by the time we play the Rangers, they could have no hope of catching us in the Metro. And that's pretty much the main concern, is just to hang on to that 3rd spot. Keeping up with the Devils. Montreal's my playoffs dark horse a month ago. I like their odds to make it. They're in a great spot right now. Meadowlander, can't let Olivier run wild tonight. He's a game breaker. We need 3 of him. Love Olivier. He had 2 goals against us at the Rock in the last matchup last week. And he's a beast. Absolute gamer and a beast. Would love a guy like Olivier on this team. He's a monster, super tough. Mike, hey, Blue Jackets are a random team. Only real star they ever had was Rick Nash and Johnny Gaudreau, rest in peace. I'm trying to think. Who else have they had over the years? I think Sergei Fedorov played there. He did. Oh, my God. He obviously wasn't like a real Blue Jacket, but he played 2 seasons there. Sergei Fedorov. Wow. Yeah, Panarin. People, you forget. They had some guys over the years. Panarin, too. We need these 2 points because Rangers are chasing us. I think Rangers are almost done in terms of being able to threaten for our spot, but they will be alive probably pretty late in the, assuming they don't just completely fall apart in the wild card picture. Jace, no, it still pisses me off that we only added Cody Glass and Sprong, who wasn't in the NHL. I'm trying not to dwell on it, but completely disappointing deadline, Jace. No, for you're not the only one. Trubka, I hope we win because I'm European, so I'm only gonna have 2 hours of sleep. If we lose, I just know I'll have terrible sleep. Brandon, Nemitz needs to be far away from the playoffs as possible. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to firmly entrench himself over this next couple weeks. I could be wrong. And, he may show regression and get booted out in favor of somebody else. But I think they're really trying to get him back in that deep end. And they're slowly nudging him there. Jay Snow, I agree. Nemitz still makes tons of mistakes, and these games are so important. Jack, I'm very much looking forward to the past offseason's additions come playoff time. That's really what Fitz had in mind when he signed them. They are all playoff types of guys. Yeah, Dylan's going to be fired up in the playoffs. Obviously, Pesci's been there plenty of times before. Cotter, Nason. I think Kovacevic in the playoffs could be an interesting guy to keep an eye on. Hopefully, he embraces his heavier, edgier, more violent side and keeps smashing guys. Brandon, watch us winning 4 in a row in the first round. That would be something. Sherry Poo, Columbus is going to want revenge tonight. They certainly are, and we have to make sure they do not get it. Come out flying, smash, throw pucks on net. We have a AHL goalie in the net, and we got to rattle him early. Throw pucks early and often and try to rattle this man. Jesse, Nemitz reminds me a lot of Severson early in his career. D-men need time to develop. That said, if he's not playing top D-line in 2 years, he's a bust. I think we've already seen enough from Nemitz to say that he's not a bust. I don't think it's possible for him to be a bust. I do think he will have a solid NHL career, whether it's with the Devils or another NHL club. Do I think there's a potential for him not to live up to his draft status as the number 2 overall pick? Absolutely. I mean, even if he becomes a very good defenseman, a number 2 overall pick is a number 2 overall pick. And obviously many people are still upset that we didn't draft Logan Cooley or Shane Wright, which I do think would have been better fits for the Devils. Obviously, you see how kind of thin we are up front at the moment and how we kind of suffered with all these injuries due to lack of depth. And I do think, Shane Wright or Logan Cooley on this team right now would be way more beneficial and helpful than Shimo Nemitz can be. But I do think he's going to have a good career. It's just a matter of, what is the ceiling for him? And we will find out. He's still very young. Cape Dollar, when Calgary does come in, I just hope someone puts a hurting on Lomberg. Obviously, Lomberg, the Lamborghini, the guy that smashed poor Nate Bastian, who was pinned against the glass and was just wailing on him and broke his jaw. Again, that's a game where I would 100% want to see Curtis McDermott in the lineup, but I'm assuming we won't. It's super unfortunate, but I think a heavy dose of Curtis McDermott for Lomborg would be good. Aaron, I'm calling it now. We win tonight, which sparks a late season win streak of 14 straight wins. Let's go Devils. Pure domination incoming. Would certainly love to see that. iScope SX, 11 p.m. UK start. Have to support the Devils. Let's go. Look at you. That's hardcore. I like it. Brendan has got a smoothie of... This sounds actually pretty good, and obviously I'm not a smoothie guy. Smoothie is fire. Mango, peaches, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, banana, Greek yogurt, strawberry yogurt, 2% milk, coconut, honey. That's certainly interesting. It's like a fruit bonanza. Husky Unchained, currently wearing a Timo jersey. Hope he'll get 2 tonight. Would love to see a hat from him. March 7/24 was the last time he got 3 in a game. And what a beautiful game it was. I remember it vividly. I threw hats at my camera. Wow, that was already a year ago? Damn. That was already a year ago? Isn't it? It's crazy how quick a year goes by. That does not seem like a year ago, but I guess, yeah, I mean, on the stretch to the playoffs last season, and that's exactly where we are now. Robert, put the tissues up, y'all. We got this. Keep the faith, and don't forget, win or lose, we booze. Let's go Devils. Brandon, our games are a lot easier than the Rangers, at least. For Devil, everyone forgets Gabrick played on Columbus. Yeah, let me just see. Yeah, Bobrovsky played there. Oh, my God, Manny Malhotra. I haven't heard that name in a while. Rick Nash, still second all-time games played. Franchise history at 674. Boone Jenner with 725 in the number one spot. Werenski will eventually take that over. Or unless Jenner stays there forever. Max, did you see the Sharks were officially eliminated last night? I did not see that, but, they've unofficially been eliminated for quite some time. Jason, we got to stay in that 3 spot. Completely agree. Richard Zimmer, let's go Devils. St. Patrick's Day, Mojo Day, 2009. Our boy Marty became the winningest goalie in the NHL on the same day, Patty with a hat trick. What an amazing game that was, by the way. And it is mind-boggling, again, in the things that make you feel old, that was 16 years ago. St. Marty's night, 16 years ago at the Prudential Center against the Blackhawks. The great Martin Brodeur becomes the all-time winningest goaltender in NHL history with his 552nd win. And Patrick Elias becomes the franchise all-time leading scorer on the same night. What a beautiful night in Devils history. I obviously was at that game, and it was, probably, I'm trying to think, it's probably the best regular season game I've ever been to. I don't see a world where it wouldn't be. I'm trying to think if there's any way another game would edge that out, but I don't think so. I mean, such history. And the fact that they both happened on the same night. Patty becoming the all-time points leader and Marty getting the 552 record. Shit. For Devil, on the Markey topic, there has to come a point late in the season where you go with your starter most nights. We are very close. I disagree. In a vacuum, if he wasn't coming back from injury and struggling, then I agree with that. But once that is the reality, and the reality is he has been struggling, he did come off an injury, I don't think you could apply that logic anymore for Devil. I mean, the guy's clearly been struggling. Do you honestly going to tell me that you feel as confident with Markstrom playing tonight as you do Jake Allen? I'd be curious. Jay Snow, it'd be real nice to get Siegs back if we get there. I'm pretty sure Siegs is shut down for the year no matter what as well. Alex says, bro, put the entire rainforest in his smoothie. That was quite the collection of fruits. It really was. Jay Snow, exactly. I want to see bodies in front of the net. Yeah, great things happen when we screen the goalie. Against Edmonton, I think at least 2 of the goals came with screens in front. Very crucial. And I feel like teams do it to the Devils all the time. How many times have we been beaten for a goal that some of them get tipped as well, but it starts with somebody in front screening the goalie and, trying to get a deflection or a tip, and shots from the point routinely beat us. Devils got to start doing the same. Aaron, Jeremy Brodeur been dominating in the minors. Yeah, I saw a little bit. He was in Utica for a while. He was in Utica, the AHL, and then I think he went back recently to the Adirondack Thunder of the ECHL. Yeah, in 4 games in the AHL with the Utica Comets this year, very good numbers, 3-0, with a 2.2 goals against and a .922 save percentage. His goals against and save percentage are better in the AHL than the ECHL. Interesting. Likewise, Nico Dawes' numbers are way better in the NHL than the AHL. And that's why I always tell people, And that's why I always tell people it's hard for me to put, or at least overemphasize, minor league stats, because you never know. There's a lot of variables. The team could be bad defensively. The team could just be bad overall. And often when they're playing in a sound NHL structure, they often look better. Werenski is really good. Werenski is very, very good. What a beast on the blue line. And he's going to be a big piece of the Team USA for the Olympics in 2026. It'd be sweet if Luke was able to crack that roster, but there's so much competition, so many great American players, especially defensemen, but it's crazy. That's going to be here before we know it. The Winter Olympics 2026 in Italy, 11 months away. Keeping up with the Devils, Jet Greaves will either be a gift or a nightmare. I think that's pretty safe to say. We either light him up like the inexperienced rookie that he is, or we make another unknown goalie look like a brick wall. Alex, I was there for the 2009 St. Patty's game. Very, very nice. Jack, Ace, I have a piece of the net from Marty's win 16 years ago. It's in a beautiful frame. I have that too. Very cool piece where they show him, like, cutting the top of the net. It was like a season ticket holder gift or something. I have one of those. Very cool. I love that piece as well. Devils, I'll be mad if another guy gets injured. Oh, why would you even wish that on us? Why would you even wish that on us? I will be furious if we have any more injuries. Obviously, we have been plagued by injuries for quite some time now, and we can't afford any others. Siegenthaler, Dougie, and Jack are two massive, massive, massive losses. Any more injuries would be pretty damn discouraging, honestly. But it is crazy, and I talked about this before as well. But the fact that Dougie, Jack, and Nico were all hurt last year and this year. What are the odds of that? Of three of your best players all getting hurt in back-to-back years. It's like unthinkable. It really is. Truly, truly worrisome stuff. Jack says, me too. Devils, this team has too many key guys that are too injury prone. I can't say it wrong. That is an unfortunate reality with this roster. There's been guys that, for whatever reason, just can't stay on the ice. It's super unfortunate. Injuries are part of the game, but like I said, to have those three guys injured in back-to-back years is terrible. Jack, Ace, in general, what games do you consider must-win and or gotta win? So it's a very big distinction for me, Jack. Must win means you must win. And so for me, must wins are only games when you're facing elimination in the playoffs, or a game where it's like you need to win to keep your playoff hopes alive. Those are must wins. Because outside of that, it's not must. It's just like you got it, or it's a very important game. But I think that's very different. When I take must wins very seriously with that verbiage. But gotta wins, tonight's definitely a gotta win. Hopefully put our collective boot on the throat of the Blue Jackets and kind of kick them down the ladder there into the bloodbath fight for a wild card spot. We do not want them taking our number 3 spot whatsoever, but that's obviously a very big one. And then depending on how it all plays out, I guess these other teams I think are going to be too far back. Let me just take a look here again. And the Senators game is huge too, just in case somehow someone catches us in the Metro, which I don't think they will. But it'd be big to win that Ottawa game as well because they have 1 point less than us with 2 games in hand. Even though I don't see them falling out of a wild card spot either. But all these games are big. They're all big because we need to clinch a playoff spot, and it might take, I guess it depends on how bad the Rangers and Jackets finish the season, but we might not clinch till like with a few days left in the season. I could see it. And I'm going to be on edge till it's official. I don't care about the whatever the percentages they're saying, like, oh, Devils are 97% or 95% to make the playoffs. Like, that means nothing to me. I don't understand how it could be that high. Like, I'm not going to fight the math people that come up with this stuff, but that seems kind of crazy high, in my opinion, given what we've seen on the season and where these other teams are. Keeping up with the Devils, 8 points over the playoffs puts us in the gotta win. Yeah, pretty much every game is a gotta win. Not a must win, but a gotta win. Jason, we don't ever seem to get tip-in goals. No, we don't. Other teams get them against us constantly. Hopefully we could start getting some. Get screens in front, wag the stick, and try to make a little deflection. Jason, we need more guys who can bowl in front of the net. I agree. Keeping up the Devils, everyone wants to trade Mercer, who hasn't missed a game. I'm not one of them. I like Mercer. I do think a lot of the whatever you want to call it that's been thrown his way has been primarily because of people having unrealistic expectations. I think people just expected him to be like this 70-point guy or at least a minimum 60-point guy every single year. And hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Had to deal with a nightmare situation. But yeah, I'm a Mercer fan. I just think people expected too much of him, and when he didn't become an 80-point guy, people wanted to cry. I mean, it is what it is. And I think maybe, the contract situation rubs some people the wrong way as well. Mercer tries to stay net front, but he doesn't have the size to do it. Yeah, he's pretty tiny, man. They're small. These guys are small. These are not the guys I grew up watching. I grew up watching horses. Guys like Bobby Holik, Randy McKay, men. Jack says he is too thin. Ace, didn't you say you went to the gala recently that a lot of players are really skinny? The modern day athlete, modern day hockey players are I dwarf most of them. Granted, I am a fat ass, but they feel like tiny. Samuel, injection of Mercer DNA into these guys, that should keep them on the ice. We have to add bigger forwards. We're playing without best offensive player and best defensive player. Jeff, happy St. Patty's Day. Hard to believe it's been 15 years since we got Eliash in the Derby hat. It's been 16 years, Jeff. 16 years. Samuel, when they drop the puck in a playoff game with Devils jersey on the ice, I'll be sure we are in. No, when we clinch, I'll feel good. I don't need to see it on the ice. As soon as the clinch happens, I'll feel good. Brandon, if the Devils come out and have gutless, horrible games like they don't care, I'll be done with this team, especially when they're trying to clinch a playoff spot. For Devil, I do agree. Allen is a workhorse, and it's a luxury to have him as a backup, but I still believe goalies need a rhythm, and Markey seems the type that can get better with it. We're going to find out. We're going to find out very soon. Jack, I saw something the other day saying that Mercer and Nemitz can be moved, but only for upgrades. Not like Halla or Lazar, where those guys can just be banished. Corey, I've been impressed with Glass so far. I don't think he'll ever live up to his high draft spot, but if he could be a solid 30, 35-point third liner, Devils might have something. No, I agree. I was never against Glass. I just was, was hoping for a bigger acquisition at the deadline, which I think is a sentiment that many of you guys shared as well. Now, there are the people that will defend Fitz and whatever, no matter what happens. Like, that's fine. That's your prerogative. And then I think there's a bunch of people that, because Glass had a few points in his first couple games, that somehow that was like vindication, which I don't think is correct either. But I do think Glass can be a decent bottom six guy for this team for years to come. And I'm sure they're going to try to sign him. And so in that regard, it was a good find. But I do think the team needed to do more at the deadline to bolster the lineup for this crucial stretch we're going through right now and into the playoffs. Jack needs Chara on his left wing and Rempe on his right wing to protect him. That would certainly be one of the biggest lines of all time. Aaron, Ace is on the phone with Fitzy. No, it definitely wasn't Fitzy. Cape Thor says Wood was that guy in front of the net. I was a Miles Wood guy. I was a big Miles Wood guy. Jesse, is Ace calling his ex? No, it definitely wasn't that. Wood was so fast too. Yes, he was. It sometimes looked like he got shot out of a cannon. For Devil, I think playing through funks is underrated. Also understand Devils aren't in great position to give any players time to figure it out. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. If this was, earlier in the season, they would be a little more willing and able to let them play through it. But when you're playing, basically a pre-playoff game tonight against the team actively trying to chase us for the third spot in the Metro, you unfortunately can't have any kind of experiments. We need to go with whoever gives us the best chance to win tonight. And I do agree with the coaching staff that it is, in fact, Jake Allen. The weightlifting lab, Glass looks pretty good, protects the puck well, has good situational awareness and good offensive awareness. I like his game so far. Yeah, I mean, listen, as I've said for weeks, the bar, in my opinion, was pretty low in terms of what would constitute an upgrade in the bottom six. Like, it wouldn't take much. There was minimum a handful of players on every team that if you just closed your eyes and picked one, if you did like pin the tail on the donkey, but you just did it on a lineup sheet, there's a good chance that you're going to land on a player that would be an upgrade over someone in the lineup we had. That's just the reality of the Devils forward group at the time. It does look slightly better now, and I think a lot of it has to do with that they're now embracing a different style of game in the absence of Jack Hughes. But again, like Glass, I do think he could be a good piece going forward, but I think just many people, including myself, were looking for something like that to kind of be the co-headline of deadline day, not the main headline. Will, is Frank the Tank valid for calling Shimo Nemitz a I would need more context. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it's not valid. I mean, I understand why sports fans are just crazy, guys. You have to realize, like, we're all just crazy. So it was probably some emotionally charged. I haven't seen much of his stuff. I've seen a couple clips where he's typically melting down and over-exaggerating. And so I'm sure it was kind of in the, probably in the moment after, I'm sure, I don't know, actually. But it was probably after a bad loss or a bad play that maybe led to a goal, and he was on one of his rants. I'm not really sure. But, I don't think it's ever really valid to kind of take that approach. Weightlifting Lab says Mercer is great. For Devil, Brian Boyle is missed. Liked Brian Boyle. And if you haven't heard, in a rare twist of the Devils doing something that I approve of, they are starting a podcast called One Time All-Stars, which is Corey Schneider and Brian Boyle. I'm very pumped for it. It has potential. I hope the Devils don't ruin it, because if these guys were doing it on their own, I believe it would be epic. And I still think it has a chance to be epic under the Devils umbrella. But I do fear that it's going to be a little watered down or kind of, I don't know, tampered with, if you will. But I'm going into it optimistic, and I think it has a chance to be really cool. One of the better things I've heard the Devils doing in quite some time. Jay Snow said we should have kept Jesper Boquist. He had speed and is super cheap. Yeah, again, we just had a lot of guys at the time, and he was kind of the odd man out. Obviously, Boquist on this lineup right now would be a blessing. To have Jesper Boquist on this team right now, my God. I mean, again, the bar is not very high, but considering where we're at, and I do think that's another reason why myself and many others really wanted, when we saw Zetterlund got traded for basically a second rounder, like, why couldn't we get Zetterlund for a second rounder? It's crazy. Martin Ellis, with Werenski, Slavin, McAvoy, Fox, Faber, Hudson, Carlson, and Burns, it'll be tough for Luke to make the Olympic team. Well, Burns, I don't think, is even a consideration. And I think Carlson would be far down the list as well. The beginning of your list is really Murderer's Row. Werenski, Slavin, McAvoy. Fox, I think, is done. I don't think Fox plays on the next one. But Werenski definitely will. Slavin, McAvoy is 3. Faber's 4. Hudson's 5. Yeah, and I don't know Olympic rosters. Do they bring? I'm sure they bring more than 6 defensemen. So maybe he could possibly be the extra guy. But I think a lot will depend on his start to next season. I'm not sure when they have to finalize the rosters, but I'd imagine that it wouldn't be for at least maybe a month or 2 into the season. And so you have a little stretch at the beginning of the season here to get off to a hot start and impress. But a lot of those guys you could pretty much cement in the lineup regardless. Luke's going to have a good showing in conjunction with maybe some other guys struggling. Jeff says, oh, yeah, 2009 against the Pens. My bad. I shot score that game. Very nice. Corey, also this team needs a couple true shooters. Too many guys trying to make passes and blowing scoring chances. Yeah, we all want some finishers and some snipers. Would be nice. I think it's probably at the top of everyone's want list, especially a winger to play with Jack and Bratt for next year if they do stay intact. Jason says Glass will be a nice 4C next year. What's going on, Philip? Jay Snow says we definitely need a 3C and a winger. I wouldn't be surprised if Glass is your 3C next year. I don't think it's impossible. Philip, I passed my driving test the day of the Pens game. Nice of the Devils to completely ruin the celebrations. 4 Devils says Zetterlund is a Fitz whiff. Trubka, Tatar is really a Tatar. Tatar, someone who's clumsy, not good in check. That's interesting. I never knew that. I like Tatar. He hustles. But, want to see more production from him and everyone else, obviously. Stanislav, all I want to say is let's go Devils. Jay Snow, I would have loved Zetterlund back on this team. I think we all would have, especially for that return. even if it was just a pure rental. I mean, wow. Select the boy. What's up, Devils, folks, and Ace? What's going on? Martin Ellis. Lane Hudson weighs about $160. He's doing pretty good. Yeah, some guys could get past the size deficiency. Jay Snow. Boyle is like the Rangers guy. He does a Rangers podcast. Boyle does a Rangers podcast? What's it called? Stanislav, thumbs up for you, boy. Thank you, sir. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. Hit the like. Hit the like. Metalander Cody Glass has a 52.7 face-off percentage this year. He should be at the dot more often. That's a decent percentage. Why did they pick Boyle? Probably because he lives in the area and he's available and was willing to do it. I think he has like some sort of media gig, right, already. So he probably was, they probably thought who was local, who could do it. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how it plays out. I do have high hopes for it. Salvatore, if we bring anyone back at Zetterland, I think he's going to be, supposedly he's looking for big money in free agency, like $6.5 million. I don't think the Devils could pay him that. And I think Fitz would probably justify not getting him in that he didn't want to use a pick on a rental, even though it looks like, Dumoulin is going to be a rental and we use the second rounder on him. So it is very kind of confusing to me, the logic there. I would have gladly used the pick, even if we didn't re-sign him after this year, to have him for this stretch into the playoffs and the playoffs if we make it. Steven Burns is too old. He's not making it. I agree. I was going to say, I thought he was Canadian. Yeah, he is Canadian. So I'm like, what? I don't think Fox will make it. He had a pretty bad Four Nations, and I don't know. I feel like there'll be better options. Oh yeah, Quinn Hughes is definitely a lock. For Devil, Boyle seems like more of a Metro influencer for both Rag and Devils topics. I could see that. I don't like that he's like a dual agent, though. I'm trying to find this. Oh, it's like it's under the post. I hate when people do that. Like, why? Yeah, just make your own thing. QQ, it's valid for Curtis McDermott to call whoever he wants. If a fat slob of a fan wants to do so, knee deep in nacho queso. They might consider using better wording like not physical enough. Oh, boy, I got a good laugh out of that. Oh, man. Knee deep in nacho queso. Who doesn't like some nacho queso? Lawrence C. Lyons, let's get serious about Devils hockey. Jay Snow, I don't want Lazar or Bastion back next year. There's going to be some tough decisions who to let go going into next year. Brandon Daniel defending Bastion hard today. I didn't see anything with that. Jason O'Boyle podcast is up in the blue seats. Yes, but it's not like a standalone podcast. It's like under the post, it looks like. I don't know why all these newspapers get involved. Like, he should just go do his own thing. Like, what the hell is that? It just gets kind of lost in the mix out here. Aaron, I'm sure missing my man Mikey McLeod right now. Yeah, it's an unfortunate loss that, it is what it is. It's going to be hard to replace the skill of a guy like that. Jason, I like Lazar. Nice guy, but he's been really bad this year. Yeah, Lazar looks is like one of the most likable guys on the team, I'd imagine. Very nice dude. I've met him a couple times. And he will always be a Devils legend as well for his role in that 5-on-5 brawl against the Rangers last year. Philip, Daniel had a thing showing Bastion is the best defensive forward. I'll be curious to take a look at that. Corey, if we can get rid of the Palat contract, would you want Marner? Absolutely not. No. Marner, absolutely not. He's going to get a ton of money. He doesn't bring the elements I want to see brought into the forward group. Mainly heavier, edgier, more violent, and snarl. And in my opinion, he's a very good player, but he's another kind of kid. He's a boy. Mitch is a boy. I need some men. I need some rugged men. We have enough boys. Go get some men. Four Devils, the same with Halla Snow. I love him in the locker room a lot more than on the ice. Jack McCabe, does Jack make it for the Olympics 26? He didn't have a great tourney. I'd imagine he's pretty much a lock for sure. Yeah, Jack is definitely, if he's healthy, agreed. Metalander, Quinn was left off the Olympic defense list. He will bump Luke. Yo, Holmes, Bastion has been playing super solid and Keith loves him. Bastion has not been the problem. Yeah, I agree. Whenever you start kind of zeroing in on a single like bottom six guy, like there's problems elsewhere. You know, I wish he was a little more physical. And if I'm being honest, he did lose some points in my book last season when Rempe buried him and he was just laying on the ice there. It was a very discouraging photo. And then obviously Lombard crushed him this year. I'd like to see him get a little heavier, edgier, more violent. But I could see him being here next year potentially. Cape Dweller isn't up in the blue seats of rags thing. Yeah, we were talking about Brian Boyle. He's going to be doing a podcast for the Devils called One Time All-Stars with Corey Schneider. I think it comes out in a couple days, the first one. Very, very excited for it. I hope it delivers. It could be an epic disappointment as well, but I think it's going to be good. Maria D says, many of us missing Mikey. Will, my Ranger buddy is convinced they will gun for Quinn, and it's more probably goes to NY over New Jersey. Thoughts? And that's just delusional Ranger fans speak, Will. If his two brothers weren't already on the team, I could say, okay. I mean, I could see you thinking that. But for you to think that when the guy's two brothers are both on the Devils is just psychotic behavior. Completely psychotic behavior. The Devils clearly, if there's a betting line for this, the Devils would be the overwhelming favorite, and for good reason. Both of his brothers are on the Devils. What are we even talking about? RME, did you know 16 years ago today, Marty became the all-time wins leader with 552 wins? GOAT. I do know. I was there, and it was a joyous evening that I will never forget. Corey, Bennett, and Donato would be the two I'd try to bring in. I think that's nearly impossible cap space-wise. I would like either one, but I would really love Bennett. He's probably one of the higher guys on my list overall of guys I would love to target in free agency. Would absolutely love to see Bennett. Phillips says Quinn will never be a Ranger. Lawrence, people don't seem to withdraw from the Devils. Alex, I'd rather throw a bag at Sam Bennett than Marner. 100% agree with you. Again, men versus boys. Very different players. Philip, Quinn was definitely frustrated with his teammates yesterday. Jay Snow, Frank Saravalli was brutal on Jack at Four Nations, called him the worst player. I don't know if he was the worst player. Was it an underwhelming performance? To some extent. But, yeah, what does that mean? That you're talking about all the teams with the best talent in the world. Dante says, I think they go after Bennett. I'd have to take a look at the cap space. I don't even know if we're going to have cap space for that. Alex, Florida be foolish to let Bennett go. They'll probably prioritize signing him over Ekblad. Not sure they can afford both. Plus, they have Jones now. Keeping up with the Devils, Kachuk prefers the Devils over the Panthers then. I mean, that would be great. But I do think if Brady ever leaves Ottawa, he will go to Florida. Jay Snow, Fitz should do whatever it takes to get Bennett. I would like it, but if he gets paid like some ridiculous amount of money where there's better guys or comparable guys available for way less money, like I'm never in the mindset of like do it at all costs. Like, I had no interest in Rantanen at the $13-14 million that they were talking about he wanted. And a lot of people were like, oh, they should try to get him. And I was like, no, thank you. Because of the type of player he is and his contract, I was never interested in Rantanen. A lot of people would disagree with me, but I wanted no parts. Bennett, McCann, Donato. Oh, yeah, you're talking about an insane expenditure that we couldn't afford. Bennett might be huge money, says Devil Heaven. I think he might be. Jeff, let Mitch get $13 million from someone else to be a regular season MVP. Playoffs, he doesn't help enough. He was definitely a ghost last year, and he got killed for it. Killed. Jace, no, he will get big money, but Bennett is the exact guy you want. I agree. Corey says Sarah Valley is a plug. Jeff Bennett is going to get overpaid. Well, I'm curious, Jeff, what do you think is overpaid? Would you pay him $7 million a year? Would you pay him? I feel like that's the cheapest you're going to get him for. I think it's got to be $7 million or more. Devil Heaven, no Marner, too much drama, too expensive. Now we need. Agree. Jason, no, super gritty and has skill. That's why I like him. I could care less what McLeod does now. What's Bennett's cap hit? Well, his cap hit now is irrelevant. He's a free agent. His cap hit right now is like $4.4 million or so, but he's going to get a massive raise. I hate Frank Saravelli. He's the worst. Jason, no, I think $4 million right now. Morgan, Bennett has never scored 30 goals or 50 points. He's the modern day David Clarkson. He's going to be overpaid, and that contract will end up looking like Palatz. And I think that's the fear of some GMs, which will keep them sort of hesitant. But this year he's got 22 and 23 for 45. Last season he had 41. Like, yeah, listen, I like him. I don't know that I could wrap my head around giving him over $7 million. But we're gonna see. I'm sure someone's gonna throw a fat contract at him. John Fay, in my opinion, I don't think Rantanen would fit in with our system. I don't think he would fit in on many accounts, especially after I heard some of the things that he was saying. Like, you know, he's acting like a diva. Like, oh, I'm only going to sign with 4 teams. He kind of screwed the Canes over, but in his defense, the Canes did it to themselves. I don't know how they didn't do more homework or due diligence before they traded for him. Devil Heaven, Ace, happy Monday, brother. Happy Monday to you as well. What's ridiculous money for Bennett to you? I think I could probably talk myself into paying him this, $6.5-7 million, but he might get more than that. Force, maybe Glass will be the face-off guy that McLeod was. I don't think that'll happen. McLeod was next level. Wolf Rock and Dylan, the king of heavier, edgier, more violent ace. Everyone should follow his lead. I totally agree. If Fitz is really related to Brady, how can he be whispering in his ear? I don't understand. Let's go Devils. Who knows? Maybe he is. But in the end, Ottawa is going to be in the playoffs this year, most likely. And I wouldn't be surprised if they win a round or two. And then I think that kind of resets or eliminates, I should say, any Brady chatter. Jeff, 7+ AAV. I think so, too. James says, bring Brady to New Jersey. Corey, Bennett is at 4.425. I could see it being 6.5 to get him. I could see it being even a little more. Devil Heaven says $6 million, 5 years. Jay Snow says I'd easily pay $6 million for Bennett. Faye, I think he even told the Canes I'll sign with 4 teams. You're not one. I think that was after he was already there, though. I don't think that was ahead of it. I think that was after the fact. Yeah, Bennett will have 24 teams trying to sign him. I think so as well. Yeah, and Army with the cap going up, he's going to get over $7 million for sure. I think so as well. People have to understand now the contracts are going to be inflated because of the cap going up. So everything is going to be a little more than you realize because now we're in a new world. Higher cap, prices go up. I could see him getting 7.5. I really could. Vince, Bennett is getting at least 7.5 million for sure. He's the prototypical free agent overpay that dumb GMs will gun for. But it could work out. He could be a guy that really gets a team over the hump. So I can't say that they're dumb GMs per se. I think it's easy for people to say that going into it, but he very well could be the difference on a lot of teams. Now, are the Devils one of them? I can't say for sure, but Jay Snow, Canes messed up and couldn't get 2 big players to sign. Yeah, what a whiff. Horrible. They look horrible in that whole situation. They really do. How do you trade for a guy not knowing that he doesn't want to sign with you? Jason says, I don't know if it's dumber if you're a team with a lot of cap. For sure, cap goes up $4 million a year. James, I like Bennett, good player, and he has an animal charity called Bennett's Buddies. Every time he scores, he sponsors an adoption. We'd love to bring that to NJ. If I'm being honest, I just care about the on-ice stuff. I mean, the charity's cool, but I don't really care. Just get me guys that are going to help us win. Help us win. Wolf Rock and Ace, do you think Brady is a better all-around player than Matthew? I absolutely do. That's a tough one. I think it depends on what team. Like, I think each one would fit a different team differently. So it really just depends. Overall, though, I think most people are going to tell you Matthew's better. But, you know, I certainly appreciate the extra physicality that Brady brings, but Matthew doesn't shy away from it either. Brady, I'm just trying to see historically 0.8. Yeah. Matthew with a little bit of a higher offensive upside, and Brady more with a menace, punch you in the mouth, smash you to the ice, and, you know, give you the business. Jay Snow says, if at $7 million, give me Bennett the menace. Devil, Cats are starting to run into cap issues, signings, etc. I think Bennett's going to be a cap casualty for them. I'm sure they'd love to keep him, but I don't think they're going to want to pay that price. Will, would you ever do a companion stream for the game? What exactly is that, Will? Corey, what do you think Brock Nelson gets? He's a little bit older. I haven't been following. How has he been doing in Colorado? Let's see. 2 points in 5 games, it looks like. He's got to be another $6-7 million guy. Morgan, Matthew has a higher scoring touch. Brady is more physical. Yeah, Matthew is scoring not that much more. I think career Brady's like 0.8 points a game, and Matthew's closer to 1. Will, it just means you stream during the game. No, there's too many issues with that. I don't think I'll ever do it. Maybe I'll do it once or twice. People have talked about that in the past, but with all the feeds on delay and stuff, I just don't like. You're talking like a watch along kind of thing. People have talked about it. I don't know. If people really want to see that, maybe I would. But collect records. What's going on? Let's go Devils. Please embarrass the stupid BJs in that god awful state. James, cheers, Ace. It's St. Patty's Day. Yes, it is. Alex, Brady's only slightly more physical, while Matt is a lot better of an offensive player. It's easily Matt, and by a decent margin. I'd have to disagree. Matthew's like a point a game guy, and Brady's like a 0.8 points per game guy. I don't know if it's as wide of a margin as you're making it, but I do think they're both great players. Brady's a top 30 player. Matt is between 10, 15 and worse. Okay, I mean, I could live with that. These FBI ads, I don't know what you're talking about. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. Please hit the thumbs up on your way out. Devils, Blue Jackets, Allen back in net. Not a must-win, but a gotta-win. Hopefully they come out, they show heavier, edgier, more violent, set the tone, hopefully score the first goal, smash some people, play with intensity. Hopefully Jake Allen stands on his head. Hopefully we get this win. I'll be back after the game with the post-game live. And if you haven't seen it, check out the jesperbratt video that I released earlier today. Jesperbratt, guys, is having a special run as a New Jersey Devil. I think a lot of people are, I'll put the link in the chat here. A lot of people are kind of sleeping on how historic his run really is. And he's been playing amazing. But that's it. That's it. I'll be back after the game. Big one for the boys. Hopefully they get it. Hit the thumbs up. Check out the Bratt video. Kick around. There's some other interesting stuff if you're newer to the channel. I'll be back later. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.